Oregon residential purchase agreement is a document that legally binds the buyer and the seller of a home to a set of terms and conditions associated with the transaction. This includes the purchase price, financing terms, expiration date, and the rights and responsibilities of both parties. In this video, we'll cover how a residential purchase agreement works, the legal requirements in Oregon, and what you'll need to create one. We're eForms, the biggest online database for legal documents. Stick around and we'll tell you where you can find an official residential purchase agreement specific to Oregon. First, let's review exactly how does a residential purchase agreement work. The residential purchase agreement initially acts as an offer from a prospective buyer to the seller of a house. It states how much the buyer is willing to pay for it, how the purchase will be financed, what contingencies must be met before closing the deal, and more. After reviewing the offer, the seller may accept, reject, or make a counteroffer. It typically takes some negotiation between the buyer and the seller to agree on all parts of the contract. Once an agreement is met, both parties sign the document, making it legally bound. This means that the agreement can only be terminated if both parties agree to it, or if a contractual contingency or a legal requirement is not met. So, what are the legal requirements in Oregon? The seller is legally required to provide a property disclosure statement to all prospective buyers who make an offer. The disclosure includes the seller's acknowledgement of any known defects on the property, such as plumbing issues, roof damage, and mildew. In addition, under federal law, the seller is required to provide a disclosure about the property's history of lead-based paint if the residence was built before 1978. Now that we know more about how a residential purchase agreement works and what's legally required, here are some things you should do to make sure the process goes soundly. Include a mortgage pre-approval letter. A mortgage pre-approval letter is a document from a bank estimating how much it's willing to lend to the buyer based on the buyer's credit history, income, debts, and assets. This helps the seller determine whether the buyer is financially credible. Offer an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is a percentage of the offer that is provided to the seller ahead of time as a show of good faith. It's written into the residential purchase agreement and typically delivered when the agreement is signed. Use an addendum to modify or add to the agreement. An addendum is often included with a residential purchase agreement to add to or amend any terms and conditions, rather than rewriting the whole agreement. It can also detail a contingency which allows either party to opt out of the contract if certain terms are not met. If you're in need of an Oregon residential purchase agreement that you can modify to suit your needs, you can get started by clicking the link right here. Hit that subscribe button as well for more videos that help simplify the legal process for everything ranging from selling a house to making a will.